Got some wind coming in. There we go.
Got some wind coming in.
That's the perfect way to start any recording.
I thought you were just about to rip a massive fart. Oh, yeah. Sorry, love. I just got some wind coming in. No, I have COVID. I thought I had a mean hangover.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, this one's really kicking a sting. And then I woke up this morning feeling like almost worse. And I was like, oh no. And then my colleague rang me and was like, I've got COVID, and we're on a plane next to each other. And I was like, that makes sense. So the good news was I wasn't as hungover as I thought.
Yeah, well, when you first called me this morning and I heard your voice, before you even said anything, I think you only said, hello, Mark. And I said, how much have you been drinking? Or something like that.
Yeah, you did. And there was no drinking yesterday. None whatsoever. I did push the boat out pretty hard.
Right.
And why did I push the boat out hard, Mark?
I don't know. Why did you push the boat out hard?
Well, it was my 40th birthday party, wasn't it?
That's right. I didn't go because I've also been sick. I promise I wasn't just ignoring you. I would actually much rather be in your presence. I don't particularly, like if I have to, rate these chats
on not quite as good
compared to coming and being in your presence. I much prefer to be in your presence. There's something about being in your presence. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. It's my musk, maybe.
But
yeah, this is 2 weeks in a row we've had to do this. I got COVID in Queenstown last week. I got it from Queenstown.
Yes.
So that was a massive super spreader event, these conferences. And here I am now with the COVID. My daughter's got COVID now. I've just found out.
Right.
So it's all fun.
I genuinely have had my kids have had some bug from school. So my daughter had 4 days off school last week, and my son 1 day, and I've got the tail end of it now. So I wasn't avoiding you, but I may have avoided COVID by avoiding you.
Yeah, you might have dodged a bullet missing the party.
Yeah.
Were you a close run thing? It was a great party. You would have had a good time.
Oh, I was just knackered, I just had no energy. Yeah. Right. So today I've got the energy, but I've got just a nose full of gunk, so it's just sound like crap.
But nose full of gunk. Maybe that should be the name of your next channel. 2 cents. Nose full of gunk.
Say rock band.
Yeah, usually I say that.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I still managed to see all the rugby. So
that's impressive. I missed it. I missed a couple of games.
Okay.
We haven't actually seen each other since the actual World Cup kicked off. We've been building to it, prepping for it.
I have been stocking up on beers because I always drink your beer. We didn't get a beer sponsorship. It's the World Cup. I've got an international array of beers to bring to your house. I don't want to spoil them, but I've got beers to bring. I've got beers
I'm looking
for
forward
weeks.
to seeing them. Well, you would have recorded it tonight. We would have. And I would have
brought a beer around, which would have been fitting for some of the results of the weekend.
So, like Namibian beer or something like that. Have you got any Namibian?
I have
stuff?
got some Namibian beer. I've got some Fijian beer. Like
Fiji Gold. Fiji Gold?
Fiji Gold, not Fiji Gold.
All right. That's the only one I really know. Oh, well. Well, that'll have to be another week. And sorry, everybody. I'm on the teas this week. I'm on the teas.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed last week, Mark, was when I arrived in Queenstown, I was actually quite flustered having to find a spot to set up, and I was on this grandstand and I was having to ad hoc things all together. And I think once we started, I read in the comments, I was like, does Mark ever actually say anything, or is it just that arsehole just going on and on and on? And I was like, that's a bit rude. And then I listened to it and I was like, yeah, I'm really just yabbering on here for like long periods of time. So this week I'm gonna try and turn over a new leaf as I tell a very long-winded story.
Maybe that also goes to this dynamic. Like recently, I mean, you're pretty good value to have on, to be honest. But I also had, I had Sergio Parise on, I had Chris Robshaw and James Weil. So 3 kind of big names, 2 rugby players and a journalist. And I was mostly there, ask questions, let them talk. And then I had Paul Tate from the America's Rugby News, and it was basically like ask him questions, let him talk. And then I had the guy who runs the rugby forecast algorithm, and it was kind of ask him questions, let him talk. And it was all very much this format. So maybe it's kind of me reverting into that format, which I've gotten used to. Maybe you just like the sound of your own voice. I don't know, mate.
think it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B, maybe. No, I think because I was under pressure, I had a small window to get it done, and then I think when I get flustered, I revert just to yabbering a lot. So there was a lot of yabbering at my end. So apologies to that. And someone wrote a comment going, "Is there any way just to like Mark's contributions?"
I saw that one. That was actually quite clever, isn't it?
It's just rude.
Like Mark's
clever.
half of the
like I'll give a half a like anyway. So I said to him, you could support him by going to 2 cents on tour, and I put a link to one of your videos. Jeez, that was nice of me. It really was. But anyway, rugby. The
great rugby.
Game.
Kind of a mismatched week, though, buddy. Kind of a mismatched week. Mismatches.
It was,
like, in theory, not all of the results, but like France, Uruguay, New Zealand, Namibia, Wales, Portugal, all these games which are big mismatches.
If I'm being completely honest with you, the cynic in me wasn't that excited about this round.
I was actually, because I could feel myself getting sick as we were closing in on the games this week, and I was like, the timing of getting sick during a Rugby World Cup kind of stinks for a guy who makes a fair few videos about rugby.
Yeah.
But I was like looking at the games going, well, timing could be worse.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like they were all like top of the pool, like do or die games and all that sort of stuff. But
the Ireland South Africa game isn't this week when I'm feeling unwell.
The Ireland South Africa. Yeah, and I think some of the minnows this weekend, like Uruguay, I think that's my minnow of the round.
And Portugal, they both did really well.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just saw the highlights of the Portugal game, but I did see the French Uruguay game, and I was like, man, I would have really liked to have played this French team. I didn't think they looked particularly flash at all. Really, no. They didn't. They kind of showed why they were the starters. Really missed Dupont when he's not out there. Is it Jaminet, the guy, the number 10 that they've got when it's not Jalibert?
Astoy.
Oh, all right. Okay, I don't know who I'm talking about.
Astoy. Jaminet's the fullback.
All right. I didn't think he was particularly flash. And did you think he was flash? Am I being rude?
Oh, man, that's days ago. I can hardly remember that game. I just remember Uruguay tackling the house down.
Yeah, they really did. And they there was that moment where they scored their try, and it was like, oh, we're within 7 points here. And it was like, what are we gonna? And the commentator started saying it, and you're like, don't say it, but they still do. Could we be witnessing something incredible? Yeah. And from there, the number 10. Sorry, I'm not that down with my Paraguayan players. Goes to clear it and just boots it. Uruguay, sorry.
Just the wrong country.
Oh, God. Uruguay,
South America, right, the correct continent.
Yeah, that's right. I'll take that. But he boots it right into the ass of one of his.
They conceded points straight after scoring. That was kind of brutal.
And then that was like the rest of the game, the last 15 minutes of it were the kind of one-way traffic. They still didn't disgrace themselves, but the game was gone at that stage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
To stay in it, like to be one try off like 60 minutes in, that's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, they stayed in it for much longer than they were expected. I mean, they weren't expected to be in the game at all. So it's been a funny one. Like a lot of the post-match press conferences I've been watching, like with Uruguay and Chile and whatnot, it's kind of like, oh man, do you think you could get a bit closer if you had more games against tier 1 teams? And then when you see the blowout games, it's like, oh, do you think this game would be a bit tighter if you guys had more? Like every bloody journalist is asking that question. And your microphone, your camera's nodding yes.
Yeah. Yes, I agree, Mark. Should I just do that now when I don't have the energy to do this? Because the energy is low. So but I thought, great effort, maybe a little boot in the butt for the dirt trackers of France, basically. Like if they are going to be called upon. Their pack weren't as monstrous as I expected them to be. Right. I thought Uruguayans did terrifically well. I'm really actually looking forward to us playing Uruguay now. I think it's like I will win, but I don't know if it's like when I see a team like that, I think 95 points.
Do you think we'll win by more than 27-12?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
I think so as well.
Because one thing I noticed about Paraguay is they like to play a bit of code, which I've got COVID. All right, just there's going to be a lot of errors. Okay, anyway, about Uruguay. And but Paraguay, they like to play code too. So yeah, Uruguay likes to play a bit of code, a little bit of ball in hand stuff, and that's what the All Blacks love. They want teams who want to play rugby against you, and then you go, oh yeah, we know how to play rugby. This is good.
Sure.
And then you can swipe on drop ball and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've been feeling. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it. You go on. It's about to go on a whole different tangent, but I'm trying to control myself.
No, I was just gonna say, man, France were just like, very underwhelming. Like, I mean, I liked Makalu. He did well. The Lucy, he was pretty busy in his performance, but if Uruguay got a few more things right, line out a wee bit better. Like you said, that kind of kick up the butt era, just basic stuff. But I think overall they'll be pretty proud of themselves. But in the scheme of things, despite the fact that all these journalists ask these questions, I don't think they're going to get many games against big teams outside of World Cup, sadly.
No, especially with this new World League thing that they've set up.
If it goes ahead, this is one of those games that puts an argument against that World League happening, right? Because
and then all the other little freaking games with the argument sadly
for it, exactly,
in a lot of cases. But
second game was.
I'm a big fan of Uruguay and Paraguay. New Zealand, Namibia, another game that was hard. 71-3. I was at my daughter's, watched most of the first half, and then I was at my daughter's prize giving for football, and then I came home and finished watching it. But it was
right.
Yeah, Roy Gard looked very good. What else can you take out of it?
Pretty amazing. His relationship with DMAC looks slick, but it's hard to measure against Namibia. All credit to them.
It is.
I mean, they tackled for a wee while, but geez, they got some points put on them.
They did. As an All Black fan, you're like, okay, what are we going to get out of this? Like, our discipline still wasn't that great, and then
discipline was shocking, and then the group red card is all that New Zealand media wanted to talk about after that game, because it's just such an unnecessary. I mean, I know Fozzie talked about the fact that they might contest it, but
there's been a few shoulders to heads and stuff this week. I'm all about if you want to go hard on them, but the consistency seems to be in a little bit strange this week.
Yeah.
And even some ones that happen that just that are glossed over completely. There were a couple. I think there were some in the Springbok. There's one in the Springbok game this morning. There was a clear headshot, and it just got missed. But anyway, was it? I can't remember if it was it the Ireland game. I can't even remember. They all kind of blur into one when there's this many.
So many games. Yeah.
But who else looked good in the All Blacks?
I mean, Leicester. I think Leicester Fainga'anuku looked pretty good. I initially thought
looked better than Caleb Clark.
Caleb Clark looked like he was just. I expected Caleb Clark against Namibia to do kind of like Julian Savia against France quarterfinal 2015 things. I just expected him to be just too big, too strong, just busting tackles, but not really, like a bit, but not that kind of special level.
He's a weird player, isn't he? Like, he had that incredible breakout year where we were just like, oh, we've got something special here. Yeah. And then he went off to Japan, Olympics. But he went off to the Olympics and didn't quite get in. And that was this terrible thing on his confidence. Then he came back to the Blues, looked all right, got a red card. And then he's just sort of been struggling in and out for form. And, a lot of people saying it should have been Shooter, not him, getting that spot.
Yeah, he's been okay, but he's not been, like, if you're going to play that big power winger, he needs to be doing Duhan van der Merwe, just running over people. And like I said, he's doing it all right, but against Namibia, I think expectations would have been a bit higher.
Should be money for Jam in that game.
Yeah, basically. And there was the injury to LaRue Milan, who's one of your free jacks.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see any of the graphic stuff, but I did see a reaction shot later of the ref kind of like being told that there's an injury, and he's kind of walking over, and the ref just goes like, "Oh, Jesus!"
Yeah, his foot should be like that, but it was like that.
God, no!
I like that sort of thing. I've got some sick Alec. No. I like compound fractures and stuff and breaks.
No, man, you like that? Remember we talked about that for UFC once.
I tried to get you to show like some instances of breaks, and
I'm not keen about. bones point in the wrong direction. No,
the amazing one is when they do a leg kick and it breaks.
And then they put the weight on the leg and the leg just
and
goes
they don't really, and they just bring the
know.
foot back and go, I'm going to plant on it. And
then it comes out from under them. Yeah, horrendous.
Yeah.
Before they've even realized it.
I don't know why. I like the intensity and the shock of it all. I'm sure I wouldn't like it happening to me, and I'm not happy about it. But it's just in terms of visually, like Wales Online did
they got criticized for it.
They got criticized, and I was like, I guess so. But I was like, hey, some of us don't like this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not keen, but yeah.
Fair enough.
But we've got a bit of a break now until we play Italy.
Yeah, that's a do or die game.
September. I think Tyrell Lomax might be all right. I know he's tight head and De Groot's a loose head, but if Tyrell Lomax was still recovering from those 30 stitches in his leg and then you got De Groot suspended, then you're down to the 4 props. So if any of them get injured, like South Africa this morning in our game, well, yesterday for the viewers, but our time this morning, they lost the prop like right before kickoff. You know, it can happen.
Yeah, that's right. They lost the guy looks like the dude from the Incredibles. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's about it. How bad's that injury? Is it? It's not a tournament ender, is it?
For Vincent Koch, no, I don't think so. They didn't say it was too bad in the post match. So, but yeah, you don't want to be down to 4 props, basically.
No, you don't. Yeah, that's
We've got Tamati Williams who hasn't had a game yet, and he can cover both sides, but still troubling times.
A little bit troubling, but this is the tournament, isn't it? You've got to get these things right. You've got to face these challenges, get through them. Builds resilience. Something else cliched. How's that?
Samoa, Chile, or as you would call it, Samoa, Paraguay.
I didn't watch that one. Tell me about it.
Okay. 43-10. Chile gave a really good account of themselves, but I don't mean to say I'm a genius, but I kind of called it that Samoa went to the mall. Japan went to the mall against Chile, and it was effective. Oh,
really?
And then Samoa went, let's give that a go. And it worked pretty well. Weirdly, though, they asked like Michael Alatoa after the match, like, did you guys plan to use the mall, or did you just kind of do it like once you saw it working? And he was like, nah, we didn't plan it. Like, we just like figured that it was working during the game. I was like, come on. Either you don't do, like, you guys have got a really poor level of like pre-match prep, or you're just kind of
analysis. You're
just kind of keeping it a bit low key that you wanted to.
You're pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, if I can see that, like, I'm not very smart, but if I could notice that, like, surely
don't sell yourself short.
That's a good option for them to go for. I was just a little bit disappointed because the Samoan hooker was in my fantasy side, but it was the reserve hooker who got the tries because the initial guy got a knock. So
I gave up on my fantasy thing after the first round.
I forgot to pick them for the first game. So the Namibia, France, Uruguay. So yeah,
you wouldn't want to have any of the French in that team.
No, it's probably beneficial I didn't pick them, but yeah, I'm not guessing about it.
Yeah. No, I've given up on it already. I was like, it was fun to do once, and then I was like, actually, no, I don't need to do this. I got too many other things going on right now. I got my Super Brew. I'm in a monetize Super Brew.
Oh, nice.
With my mates, with some buddies, and it's $100 buy-in.
Oh, wow.
So someone's going to walk away. Someone's going to walk away with $900.
Holy moly!
Someone's going to walk away. Is
someone going to be you?
No, I think I'm doing pretty poorly, to be honest. I think I'm mid to the lowest in the pack at the moment. I think I'm like 6th or 7th. Yeah.
But
anyway,
that guy. Theo McFarland, if you haven't seen him play, the Samoan lock, he's incredible. He sets up a freak try to Jonathan Taumatene from Moana Pacifica, like on the ground offload and sweet score. So if you haven't, you said you've seen the highlights. If you haven't seen the highlights, you should watch the highlights.
I think that's the one I haven't even seen the highlights. I've seen the highlights of the Portugal Welsh game.
Yeah. Well, it's worth going to watch the highlights. So yeah. Samoa for their first run out, a week behind everybody else. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah, it must be weird not getting away on the first weekend when all the hype and pageantry is kind of there, and then it's it was a weird weekend of rugby in terms of how all these matchups kind of fell. Like it was weird thinking the biggest game of the weekend was going to be Fiji, Australia. which in the past would have been just another game.
Yeah.
But that actually turned it out to be a bloody cracker of a game.
Exactly right.
Which I'm sure we'll talk about that. I can't wait to do that. I do have to apologize for something else. Not only was I yabbering on last weekend, but I completely screwed the pooch when I uploaded the audio version of our podcast.
Oh yeah, you did need like a couple minutes long. I saw people saying
I was only 9 minutes long. You know what I did?
I don't know what you did.
Well, I'll tell you. You know how when you export something, you can either export like the entire source, which is everything, or you can just export like the bit that's highlighted. And I was in a hurry. I was trying to get out the door, and I just went, and I didn't look that it said entire. It said just the clipped bit, so I just uploaded the first 9 minutes.
Right.
And it took me ages because I didn't go home again for fucking yonks. Oh damn it. I had to redo that. So apologies to everybody that was really irritated by that. Were you upset about it, Mark? On
Tony's behalf. I also apologize to everyone from Uruguay who has been called a Paraguayan twice in this episode. Humans make mistakes.
Yeah,
in my post-match review, I said that like Australia, despite the fact that they outscored Fiji, they lost.
Yeah, I saw you say that. I was like, if they outscored them, they would have won.
How'd they lose? Yeah, so we make mistakes.
I knew what you meant. You were just trying to say they scored more tries.
Yeah.
Out-tried them.
They out-tried them. They did.
Is that really the term though?
No, it's not.
Is there a term? Got more tries?
Probably. But yeah, did you watch? You said you watched highlights of Wales Portugal.
I watched. My God, someone got kicked in the face. That was exciting.
Yeah,
I thought the Portugal.
I could remember. Do you remember years ago? Tavita Nabuda, the Fijian dude for the Highlanders, kicked. What's that commentator from Australia? Clark, his son. Cam Clark. He kicked him in the face, and it was a similar deal where he was going up for a catch. And then his foot, as the face approached it, just appeared to like change direction to be like, go away. And like he got 6 weeks for that. But then you remember Geordie Barrett did it to Marika in the rugby championship, and he got off. They said it was just like him balancing. And I remember that one was really controversial because like literally half the people saw it was like, Geordie kicked him in the face, dirty, blah blah blah. And then other people were like, you can't.
I don't think any of those things are dirty, to be honest with you. I think they're because you're launching yourself up and flinging your limbs in the air just to get and it's unfortunate. Do you think he really was kicking him in the face?
I don't think
on
so.
This occasion,
I choose to believe.
What is he going to get?
He's not
3 weeks
to get himself suspended when he's like a semi-professional rugby player. Who, by all accounts, like a lot of the guys from the smaller unions, probably has to pay his own way to be there. So.
Oh my God!
I don't believe he would want to spoil his World Cup like that. No.
They scored a nice line-out try. The Portuguese.
Yes, they play crazy. Gatlin called them mini Fiji, and they were running everything like mad. So they probably could have had more points if not for some kind of just mistakes. Wales had to wait until like the 81st minute to get a bonus point against them, which now, with the Aussie Fiji result, that bonus point, very important.
Yes. Yeah, that's and that's exciting in that pool now because I can definitely see a world where Wales poops to bed against Australia, and then it's all bonus
and then it's like a rock paper scissors kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
I also never realized how many Portuguese people live in France. It seems like it might be like Australia having heaps of Kiwis there. People just told me there's loads of Portuguese people in France, and you could tell from the crowd. It was insane.
They were in there. Well, I thought the crowds across the event so far have been great.
Really good.
You always get one there's always one rendition of the French national anthem at some stage randomly.
Yeah. Except the Ireland game where I think there was two, because I think the Irish fans were loud, and I feel like the French fans were just like, "Oi, we're not in Ireland. Shut up!" Like I feel like the French were just
Irish. They sing the Fields of Athenry.
Yeah. I feel like the French felt the need to balance that out because the Irish fans were very, very vocal. But I mean, so were the Portuguese fans, but they would have been backing Portugal in that game.
Was that a little like a little kick in the nuts? The Portuguese when Zamet scored, he did the Ronaldo celebration.
Yeah, what was that?
Was that like Like,
yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was.
Because obviously Ronaldo's Portuguese, so I don't know. Well, that's a hot take, Tony. Great stuff. Feel like we're really flying today, Mark, don't you?
For guys who are still coming back from bugs, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Good. So what's the next game of rugby?
Ireland against Tonga, 59-16.
A frustrating one to watch. I watched about 75% of it. How's that? Is that okay? And I found it frustrating because the Tongans have some really good players, but had really poor discipline and drop ball and wasted opportunities and never made it a contest. And they didn't make it a contest because they weren't good enough. They didn't make it a contest because they just made some really poor decisions and had bad skill execution. I guess the other team does that to you though, don't they?
I mean, it's hard when you're playing Ireland to compare. Like, I mean, Samoa looked great because they were playing Chile. I'm sure Samoa wouldn't have looked as great if they had been playing Ireland as well. But at times you look at that Tongan side and go, geez, you're better than that. Come on. And
that's right.
If you Tongan fans on the comments of that video were like, something's wrong with our coaching, man. Like, if they're doing that. And like, this is the best chance they have in terms of like prep. There's no better chance for them to get that game time together, camped, to get the cohesion levels.
And what's his name? The coach?
He's been the coach for a few years.
Yeah, they looked really unorganized, and that was just so apparent when you looked at the structures and shapes of the Irish, who were just like, boom.
Oh yeah, they're a really well drilled machine.
So slick.
That was maybe an advertisement for keeping things relatively consistent and not changing 15 or 12 or whatever guys like France did and like some of the other teams chose to do this weekend. Like just keeping the side largely consistent. Changing one or two guys at a time means, you just
Sexton came off at halftime, didn't he?
Yeah, they're managing his minutes, which I think makes a lot of sense.
He is like 89, isn't he?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, he's an old boy.
Did you see he got clobbered by WALvPOR and then WALvPOR ended up hurting himself? It's like, what?
Yeah. And it was actually, I thought Ben Tameifunu, whatever his name is, Tameifuna, he put in a couple of very nice shots in that game.
He's a big man. He's 150 kilos.
I wanted to see more from Malachi Fekitoa and also
Peter Aki in the midfield. It was quiet.
Peter Aki, and then Solomon Akata is a quality footballer as well.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Pietzel had a couple of nice runs early.
Yeah, but that's just his individual brilliance.
That's just him, like kick return, like this. Just like you said, there's nothing team plan about that. Let's just catch the ball and run.
That's a hell of a backline, man. Really, Aki, Fekitoa, Solomon Carter. If those of you who don't know Solomon Carter was a star, really good player in the NRL. Like he used to do this thing when he scored a try, he would go like this at the camera. Because he was trying to tell his village back in Tonga that he saw them.
Okay.
But it's just don't get that confused with John Cena's "You Can't See Me."
Right. Those are quite different things.
Yeah, exactly. So, and sorry, I did a bit of magic there. I fully disappeared for a moment.
I was wondering if it was our internet connection or what.
Yeah, maybe.
But Tonga, I don't think have performed up to the billing on the squad. Like
it's a shame, when I feel like this a bit about Romania too. When obviously Romania are a smaller team still, but when these teams that are not favorites underperform, like you want smaller nations to overperform. Like the occasion to get something greater out of it and have greater engagement from their homes back home, and hopefully that will grow into more success in the future.
And you feel like when they're playing a team like that, they get that boost, they get that lift. Like it's like in football when they have the cup, some Division 3 team plays a Premier League team, and it's like, wow, this is our chance, and their game lifts, and for 60 minutes they play out of their skins, kind of thing. Like that's what you hope to see.
Yeah, you want to have their moments.
Yeah,
but they just didn't really take it. Like it's just. I know rugby just seems to be such a pressure game at the moment. It's just about putting the other team into uncomfortable positions, and just having tons and tons of contestable balls, and there's more kicking in the game than ever there has been before. Like I don't know. I love it. I still love it, but I really love running rugby. I really love, Offa Tuingafasi did that behind the back spiral pass. And I was like, some people go,
greatest thing I've seen in my life.
Yeah, I was like, that's rugby. That is awesome. Like, it was on. He's got the skills. He did it. Like, yeah, but it's not a cool role. How many scrum penalties did it give away? Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the reasons. Like, I've heard overseas pundits talking about how New Zealand's got no chance now. It's just due to the fact that we play with an old school running rugby arrogance, which you just can't do anymore. But I don't want us to stop running the flipping ball. If you put rugby into an algorithm, I'm sure it would say kick the ball 95% of the time. But that sucks. Doesn't that suck, Mark? That really sucks. It's an entertaining product.
Hey, we'll get to the England game in a minute. That's the last one we watched. All right. So we'll get to that. No. Don't jump the gun. No. We've still got South Africa, Romania to get through first.
Oh, that classic bout.
South Africa, Romania, I actually watched last for us, it's today's games, the Monday games, because it was started at like 1 a.m. And I looked at those 3 games: South Africa, Romania, Australia, Fiji, England, Japan. Well, you knew which one of those is going to be the biggest result. And it was 76-0.
Yeah. And you just want Romania to have a moment in those games, don't you? Just, and I thought it was going to be worse than that. It was like 22-0, like in 12 minutes or something stupid.
Yeah.
And then they slowed them down. I think it was 33-0 at halftime or something. It
started really pissing down. Like, I think that just slowed things down a bit as well. Like, it was torrential rain.
Thankfully for the Romanians.
Kubas got a hat trick. Mapimpi got a hat trick.
Yeah. He got a hat trick in like freaking 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, 25 minutes, I think. His previous World Cup one was faster, though.
He's quick, eh? He's got a bit of pace on him. Yeah. Some gas. But yeah, what else are we going to expect? They were dominant in every facet. The set piece looked great. They were so powerful at the breakdown. I sometimes felt like the Romanians just didn't even know what hit them at the breakdown.
Yeah.
They're like, how are we supposed to retain our own ball here?
Yeah. That last Willie LaRue try, he was literally just carrying it in 2 hands and ran in a straight line. And nobody tackled him. It was like, well, he might pass it.
There was a funny moment.
You have to at least make him make the pass. You have to.
The number 15. The number 15 said to the replacement winger, who was like 23 or something, he was like pointing at him to say, "You've got Willie," and he tried to hang out on the thing. And then he just cut straight to the back, and then you see the Romanian 15 just give a huge spray to the guy who missed Willie, but he was nowhere near him. He was not going to catch him. He was already he was skinned for pace, and it was really down to the decision making of the number 15. But it was kind of funny.
Hard times.
I felt bad.
That's a very similar scoreline to what the Irish beat them by. Like, the South Africa didn't concede any, didn't quite score as many points, but they didn't concede any points. So,
and who are they playing next?
South Africa's playing Ireland. Oh, you mean Romania? Romania's playing Scotland. Yeah, but I think in a couple of weeks' time they got a week off. They've had Romania. Romania's had South Africa and Ireland. So it's like, all right, you take a week off. Go drink some wine.
Take a spell, boys.
Yeah. Go see the French south of France. Enjoy the weather for a bit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you can take anything out of that South African. Like, the big news about South Africa right now, which I think is just monumental, like, is one of the world's best players, Malcolm Marx, being having on a plane ride home. Yeah. Replaced by Handré Pollard, of all people, who I know plays. He's a great number 2. Yeah.
Great hook on him.
Yeah. That's a massive loss, isn't it? Like, if you were a South African, that would probably, if I was a fan, that would be the last man I want to lose, I'd say.
I guess the only thing that's at least a little bit, less troubling is the fact that you only use him for about half a game. Whereas if it's somebody else, if it's, one of the other guys who plays 80 minutes, so, I don't know.
But for that half a game, he is such a menace.
Yeah,
he's such a force of nature on the park. He gets turnovers like a flanker. He carries like a number 8. He does all his set piece stuff like immaculately.
Yeah,
like he's incredible at the breakdown, like in the contact. Like he's just so good. Yeah. And like when I'm always nervous when the All Blacks are playing and he's on the field, I'm like,
for sure.
When he comes to a ruck, I'm like, you know,
You've
you
still
just know
got post-traumatic stress disorder from that game when he got like freaking 5 turnovers or something, don't you?
Oh, you mean
he started? It was like his 50th game or something, and they flogged us in Bombella.
Well, they didn't flog us, Bombella, and then we beat them the following week in Dallas. Yeah. I remember thinking, oh god, that's the best player who's ever existed at the time.
Yeah,
changed my mind. But yeah, huge loss. Sad for him. Very sad.
He won't be the last, sadly. He will not be the last.
Yeah, well, how many freaking top-class players are we losing?
Yeah, we keep losing the world-class ones, or are we losing others and they're just not making the news? I'm not sure. But because I think, like, one of the Fijian props, Kuradua, is also injured, but I'm not sure if he's out of the World Cup. But yeah, Michael Marks' news was certainly horrendous.
So, Handré Pollard coming back into the South African squad. What does that do for... Does he now become year 10? Mani Labok is now a utility of some description, or what's the go? Mani Labok's still not kicking particularly well, is he?
Yeah, well, they didn't play him in this game, so he didn't get a chance. They kicked with Willemser and they kicked with Faf, so I think they missed a few shots at goal this game. It certainly didn't look like, World Cup semi-final goes down to goal kicks kind of reassuringly good.
Yeah.
But would you chuck would you chuck Pollard him for the first game back against Ireland, straight out back from injury, or would you save him for Tonga?
I'd save him for Tonga and bring him on in the last 35. That's what Coach Tony would do.
Right.
I'll tell you how I ended up. I wasn't, to be honest with you, knew I was going to take today off. I had it planned anyway. It's a bit of a recovery Monday. Didn't realize I had COVID. But at about 1 in the morning, about 1:30 in the morning, I wasn't planning to wake up and watch these games, but someone was doing burnouts at the front of my house.
I've seen the tire marks there when I parked up at your house.
Yeah.
It seems to be a wee spot for doing burnouts.
I was at the right at the end of the road, so people think they get away with it, and they do. And then he was just hooning off, and he woke me up. I was like, bastard. And then I couldn't get back to sleep, and I was like, I was just going to watch some rugby. So I watched, that game. I watched it. It was about half time when I started watching it, but I started watching it from the start, and then it just had a nice bit of fast forward time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Getting through the stoppages, and then went straight on to the Australia game. Although I did fall asleep for a 15-minute period in that game, and missed Vunivalu's try. So you'll have to tell me all about that.
Oh, okay. So you want to move on to Australia, Fiji? 22-15, first win for the Fijians over Australia in 60 odd years, keeps their World Cup alive. And I thought, weirdly, that's a Fijian team that didn't win it through miracle tries. They won it through a really arsey Australia decide not to catch a high ball try.
Yeah.
Where it's just yours, and then Tusova's like, all right, I'll get the damn thing.
Carter Gordon and Nawitawasi just absolutely screwed the pitch there.
They screwed it. And then Kurivoli was just kicking like a man possessed until he got substituted with a cramp. And they just did it with turnovers. They played they didn't play like a stereotypical Fijian side.
No, well, they were giving it a bit of air at the beginning, and they were trying to test them on the fringes and stuff like that. But I thought, especially in the second half, they kind of put that away a little bit and played a bit more direct. I know their line out wasn't great. That was the one area of the game that probably is a bit alarming for them still.
Yeah,
but they were doing big maul drives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is a serious rugby side. They've got some serious quality. They're good at the breakdown. They're good in the contact. They're not missing that many tackles. They're really, really good. I thought that one of the tries, the try to mark Nawitawasi, I thought that came from a blatant playing on the ground that led to Nick
they only
Frost.
showed it from one angle, but it looked like, I think, was it Rory Arnold? Not Rory Arnold,
put his hand, flicked it over. Yeah,
he
kind
was
of flicked
his feet and just it seemed
looked pretty blatant.
Yeah,
and
they didn't
and then
show many replays of it.
Yeah. Have you watched Eddie's press conference afterwards?
I watched about 2/3 of it, and then I
Yeah,
went to
right.
do something else because it was very negative.
Talking about, yeah. Did you see the one he did earlier in the week where he was just
Very negative.
super cagey, hates everyone. He's acting like a bit of a petulant child for my money.
Him and Warren Gatland, both their press conferences right now are very hard to watch. Neither of them seem like guys who are particularly enjoying what they're doing.
Oh, this is going to be a fun week then, isn't it? When they're playing each other.
Mm.
Yeah. But no, that's a really, really, really bad loss. Oh, one hand, I think it's a bad loss due to the fact that I haven't lost to Fiji for 60 years or something like that. Pardon me. And you always expect that tier 1 nation of Australia, a team that's won 2 World Cups in the past, to do it relatively easy against our Fijian friends. But I think that may be discounting the ability of Fiji a little bit. Like, this is a team in the not too distant past has beaten England, ran Wales really, really close, was pretty unlucky on a number of things in that game not to get the dub. Yep. And then this week just, played a good, consistent, safe brand of footy. And then they managed to pull it out. Like, they're good, right? You didn't lose to a bunch of, villages, like, a social team. This is a really, really good team. You've seen the impact of the Drua. I'm not the first to say that, but it is really good. Like, to see really high quality Fijian players with a whole lot of cohesion and they know.
And even just like man for man, when you compare so many of the players, it's like they're either
that makes sense.
They're either like equally good or better in so many positions. So there's not really like you don't look at the Fijian side and go, they're short of this or that. I mean, Teddy Teller probably hasn't had the same impact that Caleb Muntz was having prior to his injury at 10. But I mean,
he kicked his goals.
Well, it was Kurivalli.
Oh no, actually, sorry, it was Kurivalli. Yeah. And then the other 9 came on Omni or whatever his name was, and he shanked his.
He only kicked the one. So, but I mean, like Botia with the breakdown, he was insane. Like the front row, Maui, Matavesi, and Tangi, the starting guys, they did really well. So 100%. It's not just about the flashy guys, but I mean,
you think about the squad that Eddie picked that had everyone scratching their head, like so young, so inexperienced, like not from teams that have a high history of success. Like Carter Gordon I feel sorry for the bloke. Like this should have been his like understudy World Cup, like where he kind of is in the environment, might have to play a game here or there, plays 20 minutes in a big game here and there, or has to be called on a crunch. But just to say, all right, young man, it's all on you. You've got no experience. You've never been tested at this level. Like, that's just madness. And he's got no one to talk to. Like, who would he be going to for advice right now?
Yeah, well, they reckon they brought that up to Eddie in the post match because apparently Sonny Bill said that, and Eddie was just like, well, I guess I should become a TV pundit because TV pundits are always right.
Yeah, well, he'd probably be a good one actually.
Yes,
entertaining and full of crap.
Yeah, basically, I guess that's what it is. Yeah. But I mean, it's a tough one. But man, I think everyone's chuffed for Fiji, especially after last week. Like everyone was going on about how Fiji got robbed. I was kind of a little bit more neutral about it. Like, look, maybe the penalty count was pretty horrendous against Wales, but I mean, Fiji's tackling was, I didn't like their tackling numbers, like 75%. Like, do you remember when we beat South Africa back at the last World Cup in the pool stages? South African fans weren't happy about that game, the officiating, because like they reckon the scrum was. Russie said it in his documentary after they won the World Cup. They were like, scrum officiating wasn't fair. But I was just like, bro, you guys tackled like 75%. Like you're not going to win tests like that. Even if those things don't go your way, you need to get your fundamentals right. But this time Fiji did.
Yeah, they did, and they always say you've got to adapt to the referee. If the referee's, seeing different pictures to what you think you're showing, you need to adapt.
That's it.
Show them different pictures. Take one of your nut sacks.
That's right.
Send that to them. Yeah. But it's a great result for Fiji, and
for
the neutrals. For the neutrals, it makes it all the more interesting.
Oh, Pool C is real open now.
Yeah, they've all got their gun to each other's heads right now in a triangle of death. Because Wales would have been like do us a favor, Australia, and just beat Fiji, would you? Because that would basically have them through.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but
now it's all on.
It's all on like Donkey Kong. Yeah, it's very exciting. But we'll have to see what's going to happen next week. Wales playing Wallabies. I know we haven't got to the last game yet, but who you see taking that big dog out?
Well, Eddie said that Tupou and Skelton are not going to be available for that game, which even though he said, like, we just need to win without them, I think it's harder to win without them because those are two of your
I think
best players.
They felt the loss of Skelton, didn't they?
Yeah, and I feel like if you come up against the likes of a Dan Bigger, just that veteran up against Carter Gordon, and the Welsh have got some big centres, and they just decide to target Carter Gordon similar to the way Fiji did, I mean... Yeah, if Australia play like that, they're not going to win.
No, they're not. They're not. But, Wales have amazing and unique ways of shitting the bed. I've got a horrible feeling that this won't be the highest quality game. It's just going to be who's going to not play as bad as the other team. Like they're just two teams under so much pressure, not with great form, but will both, and also have a style that won't really match well together. Right. Like they're not two running teams. They're one team that kind of likes to run it but doesn't know what they're doing versus one team that just wants to choke you to death. I could be wrong, but I could see that being a bit of a exciting.
For the dynamics of the pool, I would love to see Australia win it, just to see how that situation could play out. Because very rarely, like almost every World Cup, it's like one team wins all the games and one team wins all of them but one, and then everyone else just they just find their order.
Well, Fiji will be really hoping for the Welsh to get up, won't they?
They laughed at that question in the post-match. Like they were like, "Are you guys going to be, despite the fact that you lost to Wales, are you going to be putting on your red jerseys at the weekend?" Or they were just kind of like, "Ha ha ha," but like Rice smiles, like, "Yes,
of course." Yeah.
So obviously in their own
best
interests, but I mean, I guess they could go through top of the group with their double losing bonus points against Wales if it did. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Did Wales not get a bonus? Oh, they did get a bonus point against Portugal, didn't they?
They got a bonus point against Portugal, yes, just barely.
And then South of Australia, there was that kick at the end of the game where I was like, okay, they won the game, just kick it out. And then I was like, oh yeah, but that's a really important bonus point.
You saw Nathalevu point to the sticks as if like giving them the big finger, like, screw you. We're going to even take away your losing bonus point. But I mean, he's being ruthless. He has to.
Yeah, but now my fear was it was going to hit the post. It was going to hit the post.
I thought it hadn't gone over the dead ball line at first. It's like, oh, they're going to keep it in. They're going to go, oh, no. They kept it in. They went over the dead ball line.
Yeah. Are you live streaming any of these? You been doing any of those?
Man, I've been sick.
Yeah, right.
I might have, but I mean, the kids are up in the morning anyway, so yeah, I've done one.
Can we talk about it? Can we talk about the most important game of the weekend though? Let's just cut the crap. The most important game of the weekend, and I think you know what it was. No.
Oh no, not yet. One more game of Union first. One more game of Union. England, Japan.
All right. Okay. So good though.
You tell me what you thought of that game. I want to know.
Because I went back to sleep and I didn't watch it, but then I got up my phone and then everyone was going, "Oh, this is a dirge. This sucks balls. Far out. Take a picture of my butthole and put it in front of my face. It'd be more entertaining than watching this." I just made that one up. I didn't see that as a text. There's a tweet. But then I watched it and I was like, this is all right. And it kind of had this frantic feel to it. Like there was a lot of drop ball. I thought it was kind of fast paced though. Like I thought that there was less kicking than I thought it was going to be. Like one team would drop it and the other team would pick it up and they'd go for a little scurry and then they'd drop it and then the other team would pick it up. I felt like it was quite entertaining. I thought George Ford, player of the tournament so far for my money.
Still playing really well.
Yeah, playing really, really well. His kicking in game has just been on point and delightful. I didn't think it was that bad a game.
No, me neither. It was weird.
Why was it getting so much shit?
I saw a lot of feedback that like because
do people just hate England?
Maybe. I think that's part of it. I think if that game is Fiji, Australia, and Fiji win with that strategy over Australia, so swap England with Fiji, I don't think people are quite as critical about that performance. Like, I mean, even Fiji's performance, Fiji's actual performance over Australia wasn't as I said, there wasn't the stereotypical razzle dazzle.
There wasn't flights of fancy stuff.
No, it was all freaking breakdown turnovers and kicking penalties.
Yeah.
I think England. I mean, they scored 4 tries. The head forward of Marler one was a fluke.
That one, I thought that was. I didn't think that was a try personally. I thought like it goes off the guy. I know it's technically, but he goes to catch it. It skims the front of his fingers. That's a knock, and that's a knock
before
on.
It hits Marler's head. You mean?
Yeah, it's a knock on into Marler's head. I know it's
he said he passed it backwards. Yeah, it didn't seem like it. It seemed like he lost control of it.
I don't know how you touch something that way and knock it backwards towards.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a pass. It seemed like an attempted catch. But I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
anyway, it was kind of funny.
They defended really well. They didn't concede any tries. They played 2 games against Argentina and Japan, who, whilst they're not like Ireland or South Africa, they're also not like Namibia or Portugal. And they've conceded 1 try. So people are giving them a
bloody
heap of crap,
English,
I feel like,
bloody English.
Man, like they're defending really well. Their attack is not fantastic to watch, but it's functional. It is doing what they want it to do.
They got a nice try to. Was it May or Stewart? Stewart got a nice.
Stewart got one from the cross kick. Like this, their attack certainly got better as the game went on. Like I think they had 1 clean break in the first half and then 7 in the second. So I think they, as the game went on, they were starting to look better. I think they've got
Japan
one of the smaller teams next. So they can,
I thought Japan played better than they've played for a while. I thought that wasn't a bad look. They were enterprising on attack.
They were within a point of it for most of the game. I think it was the final, 20 that kind of let them down. Their line out just went to Custer.
Yeah, that's
knocking the ball on.
Yeah, so set piece domination from the Poms is probably the difference in a lot of ways there. But not bad. I was expecting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think based on that, like England is going to win the World Cup. I don't think so. But I don't think they're quite as deserving as the amount of grief that people are giving them. They're all right.
People are saying 2007 vibes. 2007 vibes.
I'm not sure if they're quite there yet, but I mean, maybe if George Ford can replicate Johnny Wilkinson.
But 2007, they would look like dog's balls too. That's why it's 2007 vibes. You know?
I get it.
Like, and I kind of like going for teams that other people think are shit. So I don't like the English. I never supported the English, but something about them being completely written off and now doing well is kind of heartwarming. Yeah.
I don't think their attack looks great, but the defense looks really solid. And if you can defend and you can stay in the game, who knows, man? If George Ford can kick you to victory, or if he can set up some header tries or whatever, who knows?
You're just going to get more points, don't you, than the other team?
That's basically it.
So where does this leave Japan? So Japan has a crucial game against Argentina sometime coming up, I guess.
Japan's next game is against Samoa. So that one, Samoa goes into it 1-0, but they've played the weakest team in the pool so far in Chile. But it's a must-win for Japan.
It's a must-win for both of them, technically. Well,
really, yeah. They basically knock each other out with that next game. I mean, next game is Italy plays Uruguay. One would assume Italy, but based on what we saw the other day, you never know. It's probably going to be hard for the Uruguayan guys to back up 2 weeks in a row. But
20 points, actually.
Then France, Namibia, that will be a flogging. Argentina, wait, did I get it wrong? Argentina plays Samoa. What am I talking about? Maybe Japan's next game is against Samoa, but it's in a fortnight. Yeah, it is. So they've got the week off. So
like us.
Argentina plays Samoa first. So potentially Argentina, if they win, that's a must-win for Argentina, man. They've already lost the game.
Wow, yeah. It's exciting.
And the way they played in that opening game against England, you would not be surprised if they lost it, but hopefully they've been doing some training in the bloody back end because they were god awful.
They were the most disappointing performance of the whole World Cup so far. That one, I would say. Who have the South Africans got next?
Ireland. That's for us next Sunday, 8:00 in the morning.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Perfect timing.
Oh, that's good.
That might even be live streaming time for me because I should be fit by then, fit and healthy, and it's a acceptable time of the day.
Yes, hopefully it is. Hopefully I'm fit and healthy by then too. Actually, who knows?
Should be about right.
Look, that's how we know we're old. We're both just like dreaming of days where we don't feel like shit.
We don't feel like rubbish. Yeah.
I have felt. I don't know. Do I look like? Because I can see myself right now, which is one of the worst things.
You look not 100%. I feel like I look better than you do right now.
I look like dog's balls. Like I've seen homeless men's undercarriages that look better than this.
Yeah, not sure if homeless guy or just Tony has COVID.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, can we talk about the game though? The game.
Yet. Georgia, Portugal is also on the agenda. That's one that Georgia they play each other a lot because that's like they're in the European Rugby Championship. I think Portugal pretty much always lose that one. It's like, it's like your big brother who always beats you up.
Yep. I've got one of those.
England, Chile. England should win that one. Then South Africa, Ireland, which we already talked about, which is probably. I mean, it was all about that France New Zealand game as the opener, but I feel like now all attention goes on that game. Whoever wins that one probably goes into the knockout stages as the favorite for the World Cup.
Yes.
My dad sent me a message about that game next week, and he said something like, "Can Ireland beat South Africa? Possibly, maybe, could do. If anyone's going to do it, it's South Africa. We'll do Ireland, or whichever way around it is." It's just like
you're on form today.
Yeah, very, very, very on the fence. Scotland, Tonga.
Yeah, you'd back Scotland to get that one done,
and then Wales, Australia, which is also very tasty.
That is a tasty one. So
not as tasty as South Africa, Ireland, but tasty for a different reason.
I'm going to give you a distracted must-watch for the weekend.
Okay.
The distracted must-watch is Wales and Australia. Okay. Distracted must-watch. There we go. Brought to you by no one. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting delirious. I'm at that stage. Yeah.
Now let me ask you, Tony.
Yes.
Has the Rugby World Cup bug fully bitten New Zealand, or are we still kind of in rugby league mode?
No. Rugby league, rugby union is just a mere afterthought. It's a flea on the backside of the rugby league, the elephant that is the rugby league obsession right now in the country. And I think it's due to the fact that we lost the opener, and now it's just a bunch of games we have to get through. People are still very much.
People may find this hard to believe, though, but yeah, because we lost the opener, and it's not a World Cup we would go in as favourites.
Yeah,
and our rugby league team, which plays in the NRL, is having a best in more than 10-year run.
Yeah,
there's a lot of focus on the rugby league. Like
have you seen some of that
last night? The leading story was the NRL, and the second story was the WNRL. The third story was the Rugby World Cup, the Rugby World Cup. Ireland's win over whoever they played.
They went with the W, the NRL W before they went with the RL.
They did. I just watched it this morning to double check because what day was the league on? Was it Sunday or Saturday?
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
It was on during my party. So I had to. I was at this cafe. And then I was like, they didn't have a screen, so I had to bring a screen along and set up my laptop with it. And I was like, shit, if they don't have good internet speed, I'm going to be like the worst person. And I was like, far out, if they lose as well, it's going to kill my party. So, but we absolutely, this was a do or die finals game. We bet like the Newcastle.
Final, we bet to put it in rugby union terms. It's like a quarter final.
Essentially, yes, exactly. And we won it against the Newcastle Knights, who had won 10 games in a row. So they're a very good team. And not only did we win it 40 points to 10.
Right.
Incredible. And Go Media Smart. Have you seen some of the footage? Like people singing the songs?
Yes, the atmosphere is something I don't think I've ever experienced at a rugby union game in New Zealand. It just seemed insane. People singing and chanting, and I don't know, the noise is not something we really associate with rugby fans or New Zealand fans in general.
Yeah, well, being a Warriors fan, it's a long journey. We're a long suffering group of people. Like there have been a lot of downs, and this group had to like move away from home for like 2.5 years because of COVID, because it's an Australian-based time. So they left their families, and they had amazing sacrifices. So it's a real feel-good story. The Warriors have had a lot of lean years, and this has just been an incredible season. And now we're in the preliminary final, which is essentially a semi-final.
Yeah, that's away at the Broncos
to get in the final. So up against the Broncos, which is going to be a bloody hard ask at Suncorp Stadium.
Yeah,
they're a very good team. But if we play like we did last week,
let me tell you something, Tony.
Up the wires.
So on the day that the rugby league was on,
yes,
I went out. I was still not feeling well, but we went to Chemist Warehouse to get something, and we went to get my son a new pair of shoes because he's getting freaking bigger feet, little prick. And then his feet keep growing, Tony. I keep having to buy new clothes for him.
Rude. Imagine how your mum felt, dude.
Yeah, that's why she always bought me Butter Bullets instead of like Nike or Adidas or anything like that.
All right, yeah.
I was coming along Lincoln Road to head towards my home, and the traffic was horrendous. And I was trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Why can't this traffic move? And it was all going into Pack and Save, which is a supermarket here. It's like the low-cost supermarket. And all I can assume is that it was because people were stocking up for the WALs game. There was nothing on. I checked the Trusts Arena, nothing on. I checked like all kinds of like Twitter and stuff. Like, nothing was going on.
Yeah. It's a big deal. If the Warriors do the incredible and they win the World Cup, If they win the NRL
and win the World Cup,
and they win, it will. No, sorry. If they win the NRL competition, the
late surprise, dark horse be weird to win the Rugby Union World Cup.
I think because we've won the World Cup 3 times before, and it's a big bloody deal. It really is. Yeah. We're a nation of rugby lovers. Yeah. But we've got a real big soft spot for rugby league, and this is such a special group of guys in terms of what they've been through and the story behind it. It's all really magical. I get the feeling for a lot of people, maybe even myself included, it would be a bigger deal if the WALs got up.
Yeah. I imagine it's probably similar to what Irish fans are probably feeling for the rugby union at the moment, just in that you've got a team which historically, when they get to the finals, has not been a performer. Even when they've got a strong side, they underperform or whatever. But finally, this year, you're having a good run. I mean, the Warriors are maybe not quite as favorites as Ireland are, but similar kind of context.
Yeah. I'm really hopeful that they knock out the French in the quarters and we knock out the South Africans. That's my dream.
Seems like a big ask at the moment. We'll see how the Irish-South African game goes. That looks tasty.
We will see how that goes. I think I've got a weird feeling that South Africa will get that one. What do you reckon?
That's the way Gaza seems to be lining it up, but he said, as I said, maybe. I don't know.
Hey,
that one's really a coin flip at the moment.
Mark, this is a podcast, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. But it's not on Stitcher anymore because Stitcher doesn't exist.
But I haven't taken away the graphic because I can't be asked. So that Stitcher thing's still good.
Still goes by. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts,
iHeartRadio,
Spotify, iHeartRadio. One more.
Your mum's wireless. You might be able to find us there on the right day. All right.
Hopefully, next week
we're in person.
In person.
I'm sorry, my energy levels.
Beer to your house. Yeah,
my energy levels have waned a lot, haven't they? They've gone. I think I started with a little bit more of a hiss and a roar. I kind of fell off.
I think COVID does that to you. I started recording one of my videos when I was sick, and I was just like, after about halfway through, I was like, "Geez, I think I want to go have a nap. This is dull. Exactly. I need to fire myself up about this. You're just old and you're just tired." Oh, happy birthday, by the way, mate. I don't think I ever said happy birthday to you. Sorry I didn't come to your party, but happy birthday.
It's okay. That's okay, mate. It was a good party.
My birthday's next month.
Oh, I can't wait. You're going to have a big old party?
No.
You suck. All right. Speaking of people who suck, I was about to say our audience, but they don't suck. You guys,
they're awesome. If they stayed through an hour of this,
if they're right here still,
big old men talking to each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hell of a thing. God, someone should give them a medal. I've got the 2C over there. I can't quite reach it.
It's too far away.
But you all get a 2C GD from me for getting through this. All right, mate. Well, thank you for this.
We'll catch you for the next one.
In person. All right. Party night, team.
Take care.